welcome to Bombay Talkies. My guest is today someone who is otherwise considered film aristocracy in this country, but at some level his heart seems to really lie in the world of theatre, and he joins me here at Prithvi Theatre, where in many ways the story all began. Shashi Kapoor joins me on Bombay Talkies. Thanks very much indeed. A show which is in fact named after one of your films, but of course we'll get into that later. Thanks very much for agreeing to do this. Particularly because this is the birth centenary year of your father, Prithviraj Kapoor, so it makes it a special festival, I guess in more ways than one. But tell me, sir, around the time you were born, your father was still more involved with films. The transition to theatre hadn't fully taken place, had it? Or
No, it had. I'll tell you a little bit of my father. My father started his career in Bombay in the late 20s and the days of the silent days. Though the talkies had started that side in America, but we were a little late with the talkies. So
yes.
The first few films he did, like Cinema Girl, they were they were silent films.
Right. He also had a minor role in Alamara, which was...
Yeah, that was a little later. That was the talkie. Yeah, yes. Yeah. And
this is the silent years, you told me.
Yeah, the silent. And he, you got me confused with. It wasn't 1938. It was 38 was when I was born.
Yeah.
But the talkies had already started.
Right. Sorry, Alamara was 1931. Yeah. I beg your pardon.
So, I always consider myself very fortunate that I was born into this family. I suppose, in retrospect, when I think of, my earlier days, I must have been a happy kid. I enjoyed every bit of it. I enjoyed the theatre, I enjoyed the cinema, I enjoyed being part of this family. I enjoyed traveling in the car where everyone, was looking at that. You couldn't hear what they were saying, but eventually, actually my daughter, surprised all of us, Sanjana, when Jennifer and I were traveling with little Sanjana. She was little. And Sanjana came up to me and she said, Dad, Papa, she called me Papa. She said, Papa, how does everyone know your name? So I looked at Jennifer. And then Jennifer tried to explain to Sanjana, little Sanjana, that he's working in a profession where you get to know the name. She couldn't understand it. I hope she does now.
But when you were born, your father was already a star? He was established?
Yes, of course.
A film star?
He was already working in a new theatre company in Calcutta. That's where I was born.
Right.
And he'd been there for the last about 8-10 years. And he'd done many films for new theatres with Barua and Debke Bose and lots of other directors. And people like Durga Kote, he worked with them, Monica Desai, all these people. And it was in a year after I was born that he decided to come to Bombay. And then he started his I would say, talkie period in Bombay.
When the talking films happened, when films like Sikandar happened.
Yeah, that was in 41. Yeah, that's 41. Right. Yeah.
It's an extraordinary life. You're off traveling the country, staging plays, and being summoned off for these.
Yeah, so we had to wait for about 2-3 months every time my father went on a cultural trip. And but my father would pay all the actors. So we all had a paid holiday. We enjoyed it at that time. I didn't realize what was happening. I was only about 18 at that time, and it was great. I was full-time in the theatre because I joined the theatre instead of going into college.
Right.
And my father asked me, and I said I didn't want to waste 4 years of my life sitting in the canteens of colleges, but I would rather study. So he liked that. And I don't know what made me say it, but I did. And I did work hard, yes. And I was there in the theatre till 1960, till the end. And
but you'd already started doing films?
No,
Till then,
In
you didn't.
96, no.
You decided that you weren't going to.
You know, I didn't want to be a cinema actor. It was because of the theatre closing down that I came into the movies. Unlike my brothers went to the films via Prithvi Theatres. But I never wanted to be in.
You were very clear about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And I would have loved the theatre to go on. But unfortunately, it closed down in 1960. And
But-
Shakespeareana moved out of the country. See, they went to England. Yeah.
Right. So you had, in many ways, no choice. Are you saying? I mean, weren't there any other outlets for your passion for theatre that you could pursue?
There were no outlets. No,
Nothing.
there was not a single professional theatrical company in that time. And when Prithvi Theatre closed down, so there was nothing that I could do but to go into the movies. And that's when Jennifer and we made that decision. And I was very lucky to get a lot of work.
So did films always feel a bit like captivity? I mean, you felt you were somehow.
Yeah, it was,
Captivity.
yeah. But, I would say a rich captivity, a healthy one. I was able to raise my kids. I was able to look after my Bilaiti Biwi. I was able to live in places
Reasonable
which were other than, you see, where we lived. You see, we lived in a very quiet, suburban place in Matunga, East Matunga, near the Khalsa College.
Right.
And it was very nice, very happy.
This was just you and. Are you saying the whole Khandan or no?
No, the whole Khandan.
The whole
Mr.
Khandan.
Raj Kapoor lived till two of his kids were born with his parents. And Shami Kapoor lived till one son was born. And I lived till one son was born. So, I mean, it was okay. It was very nice. We had this thing. And my father had a very open mind, you know, to all of us, either living with him or going out and living on our own.
And also, he didn't have any problems with the fact that the others had moved into films and were pursuing their own careers. That wasn't something that bothered him. He was completely okay with it.
No. He had people, his company. I think Raj Kapoor moved out pretty quickly, maybe in the late 40s. But he kept coming back to Prithvi Theatre and performing sometimes in stations like Delhi and Calcutta.
In the sort of bigger productions.
Prime stations, you know. And my father never objected to anybody leaving his company. Lots of people. L.V. Prasad left the company. He became a famous producer director.
That's true. Prithvi's been a sort of a laboratory for many greats. Many greats.
Ramanand Sagar, Indaraj Anand, Shankar Jaikishan, they were all there. Shami Kapoor.
But you, I guess in some ways, Merchant Ivory allowed you to also
Merchant
dabble
Ivory,
in a different kind of
Merchant Ivory
film.
approached me in 1961. And at that time, they were trying to get the first production together. They were not known anywhere in the world. And I didn't know them either. I had a press conference.
1961.
61.
Yeah.
And that's where
And you
Ismail
had a
merged
party.
me. And Ismail came unannounced, uninvited. But he, like himself, he said, I'm Ismail Merchant, I know you're Shashi Kapoor and all that, and I want you to do a film for me. So I said, who are you? When I read the script, I realized
This was The Householder.
No, it wasn't The Householder.
Oh,
It was a film called Devgar. It was about a village, and they wanted me to play a villager, along with a very beautiful lady who comes from the town. And they wanted Sara Banu. And Sara Banu had probably asked for a lot of money, so they couldn't afford it. And then that subject fizzled off, and the backers went away. And there was a little hiatus. Then again, by the end of 61, they came back to me, and they said they got hold of Ruj Hawala's novel called The Householder. And I read it, and I gave it to Jennifer, and we both read it. And it was lovely. It was very nice.
Your filmography is very interesting in that sense because you've got some very conventional commercial
Yeah.
indie film happening studded with these merchant ivory
Yeah.
excursions.
And Merchant Ivory came to my life quite, quite soon. I mean, my second year. So I was able to justify or rather create this thing that I can do that kind of work. Not that many people saw me in that. They weren't successful.
Of course. But, it must have been in many ways liberating for you to
Of
get
course,
out
of
of
course.
whatever you
You
were
see,
doing,
after
singing
having
and
done Prithvi
running around
Theatre,
trees. And
yeah, after having done Prithvi Theatre and having done Shakespeareana, both very different kind of plays, I was not very happy running around trees.
You're not going to be running around trees
No,
and singing
no.
and all that.
Though I
You
did.
had to do that later.
Though I
suppose.
did, yes, I did. I did, and I was eventually a success at that. So,
Was there any of that which you enjoyed? Any of the mainstream stuff you were doing?
well, of course, Jab Jab Phool Khile was a very good favorite film of mine, and it was made by friends of mine, and we all had a kind of a picnic, and we got together and I did a film with Bimal Roy called Prem Patra. That was a good story, but it didn't need all the songs and all that kind of rubbish, which I didn't believe in. And you could see that I was,
You were
I didn't believe it.
unconvinced.
Yeah, but Jab Jab Phool Khile was out and out a musical.
Huge.
I played a musician, a musical man, and sang. Oh, it was lovely, very nice. We had very good music, and we had good actors. Nanda was my star. At that time, nobody would act with me, except for Nanda. Yeah, it's amazing.
Why was that? Because
I
you
don't know.
had this reputation of
I
being-
think so. Because I was not established, and Nanda was the new heroine, established heroine, and maybe she felt pity on me. But she was very kind. I mean, I did lots of films.
But you ended up doing almost 13 films with Amitabh, with Bachchan.
Yeah, Amitabh and I did about
I was
12,
trying to
15
run through your
films.
filmography,
Yeah.
almost a dozen odd films.
Yeah, we did quite a few. And we enjoyed our work. Enjoyed our work. Some were very strong films, very committed films.
Diwar and so on.
Yeah, yes, of course. And some were very lackadaisical films.
But it wasn't a disadvantage being in the second lead position with someone like him. You didn't.
That's what
You didn't think of it as-
that's what they thought when they came to me. You see, they thought that I would object, and I didn't. You see, coming from the theatre, I didn't mind doing that kind of work. And I said, no, it's okay, as long as the product is okay. And I had the fortune to hear the complete script of Diwar, and I was the one to tell them right in the beginning, before they started, that said, this is going to be a super hit. And it was.
And you didn't have any unease
No
about playing that
reservation,
role?
no,
None of that?
not at all, not at all.
It's
It
extraordinary.
was okay, very good. I enjoyed it, yeah.
But was it really sort of with your own films, the time when you got to actually do stuff like Janoon and Kalyug and all of that, where you felt creatively more connected to films?
Of course. I did 6 films, Junoon, Kalyug, 36, Vijeta, Utsav, Ajuba. And those are the kind of films that I wanted to work in and to produce. So I did them, but unfortunately they didn't run. They didn't bring back the money.
They did very
investment.
well in a kind of critical sense. I mean, they were hugely acclaimed. But
Yeah, but they didn't, bring back the finance. So I lost money in that. I lost a lot of money.
in all of them.
Yeah. So that's when I stopped producing films, which was a shame. I didn't want to stop. But it's amazing that we started both the things, Prithvi Theatre this Prithvi Theatre
Yes.
in 1978, and my film company called Filmwalas in 1978.
At the same time.
Yeah, and this has been
this
going
has
on for
endured.
28 years. Can you imagine that? And that I had to, close shop. So it just shows.
That's interesting. That's very unusual, actually.
Yeah, it's
to-
amazing,
To
yeah.
have theatre outlast film.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I'm really very happy, and I'm so glad that Kunal and Sanjana both have looked after the theatre, and actually it's Jennifer's legacy. Very nice.
I guess it's almost pointless to ask whether you miss it at moments.
That's a private thing.
But tell me, you never wanted to come back into theatre, into acting
No, you see,
Even later when
no.
sort of
See,
theatre was getting revived.
when I stopped working in theatre, I went into the films, I never thought of coming back. And
Why was that? Given that it was your first love.
no,
and your passion.
because I didn't want to fool around with this profession. You know, I wanted it to be full time. I would have stayed on in the theatre.
Had it
Yeah,
sustained?
had Prithvi Theatres carried on, but it didn't. Shakespeareana didn't, you know. So I didn't have any company where I could work professionally. So that's why I went into the movies. But once I went into the movies, then I worked only in the movies. And
But your father was sort of dabbling in both, or at least he was switching between both.
but I was not my father. So no, but you see, I didn't want to do that. And I was, not that I was unhappy, I was very happy, and the film business gave me enough to be able to do things that I wanted to do. And one of the things that I wanted to do was to build the theatre here. And I'm so glad that I built it. I'm so glad that Jennifer built it for me.
Right.
It was in 72 that my father died, and I didn't know what to do. And my mother and father both passed away at the same time, you see. So we were all in shock. And my brothers were not doing so well. Mr. Raj Kapoor was trying to get over Mera Naam Joker, and he was still producing Bobby, so he didn't know what was going to happen. And Bobby was not being sold. That was another thing.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's how I became a distributor. You see, I became a distributor because Bobby was not being sold. And they were very, very rude, you know, to my brother. I mean, a man makes 10 hits for you and one flop, and all his distributors run away. And they call him and they say, "No, abhi aap satya gaye hain. You know, don't you know, do any films."
So you had to step in at that point.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, with pleasure. Though my brother was a bit shy, a bit hesitant, because he knew that I didn't have any knowledge of distribution. And you do need a lot of knowledge, you do need a lot of experience to be able to exploit a film. You can't just be an actor and just have the money. And you need to know more, you have to know the know-how. But I did get a very good distribution company. I was the money bags behind it, so it was okay.
But is there anything that's going to bring you back to acting?
No, no.
Nothing?
No, I've had my, you know.
In Custody was the last
That was
outing.
it. That's right, yes.
That's
in
it,
Custody in 92 or 93. And American films that I did in 97.
Right. Which was that? I've got some films here. Vivekanand and Jinnah, of course. Oh, you were narrating.
Jinnah I did in 97, yeah. I was not the narrator just audibly. I mean, I was doing a character. Yeah, it was very nice. I'm sorry it didn't come here. But you know, the countries, they rule these silly things, you know.
But why you feel that you've had your time? Is it why?
Yes, of course, and I don't have the strength. You see. You see, actor needs a lot of strength, even on the stage. More on the stage than in the films. I don't have the strength, and I'm also a Buddha Baba now, you see.
You seem perfectly vigorous and
people compare me to Amitabh. Amitabh is younger to me, much younger. And I wish him good luck, and he's doing marvelously well. I mean, his last film, which I saw, was Black, which I loved. I mean, I thought he was very good in that.
Have you two stayed in touch, by the way? Because you had such a long professional association.
Well, off and on, you know. One thing was there right at that time, when we started also, was that we didn't interfere with each other's privacy. And even though we worked together, we gelled together very well, we were wanted by people, but we didn't socially meet. We had our different kind of likes, and this, you know, he had Jaya Bachchan, I had Jennifer.
Shashi Kapoor, thanks very much for doing Bombay Talkies. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.